Those who practice something, they are afraid to lose it. They are afraid and not dare to discard it, always maintaining it. Therefore, listen to the sentence that help unwind and discarding itself constantly. It will affect to brighten out in a way with purifying automatically. To listen to maintain within itself, grasping to itself, mindfulness, concentration, grasping for itself, maintaining itself is not brightening. It is other kind of aura. Whenever it's releasing from itself, it will be brightening out. It's releasing from its maintaining state. The brightness of the natural extinction, it cannot be by practicing for attainment. It's there because of releasing itself, the state that unwinds from itself, any conditions and the mind that unwinds from itself. Emotions and feelings unwind from themselves. Even mindfulness maintaining itself has to release from itself, otherwise it will not be brightening. Even maintaining mindfulness is not brightening. It's holding on to itself, it's not releasing from itself. It has to be unwinding, discarding from unwinding, not grasping from the unwinding. Listen to the sentence that doesn't grasp for itself. Then it will be accordingly. Otherwise, it's always holding on until so bored with it, and then release it. That is a long time. Long time until it's releasing after getting bored to itself, and then holding on to it again. Listen to something that helps unwinding, discarding itself, that is direct. Listen to discarding, even the discarding itself, not grasping even the non-grasping itself, that is unwinding, discarding from discarding itself, brightening, purifying samsara instantly. Whenever unwinding, discarding itself, there is no selfishness already. A lot of selfishness because of maintaining, seeing, looking, knowing, maintaining mindfulness, concentration. That is selfishness. Grasping for the sake of oneself. That is maintaining. Maintaining means fixating, holding on. Holding on, that is maintaining. So listen to that which discarding the listening itself, without grasping for the listening, the sentence that doesn't grasp for itself, terminologies that don't grasp for themselves. These are terminologies and sentences that purify themselves. It will happen accordingly. The audience will release the mind accordingly. If you try to uninvolve, then uninvolve from the non-involvement itself. Furthermore, discard it. Listen and discard the discarding itself. Third state that discarding itself, conditions that discarding themselves. Then it's gonna be brightening and natural extinction is there. The brightness that is derived from merit and goodness is different than the unwinding from itself. This is the brightness that is brightening in all directions, unwinding from itself, brightening out in all directions automatically. So we don't have to look or to know how the aura will be. Just know that where it's coming from. It's from unwinding from itself. So just continue with disengaging from disengaging itself. That which has nothing to do with engaging or disengaging. That is unwinding from the unwinding itself constantly. That is purification from the brightness, from discarding itself. It is automatic. There is no need to delusively checking. Otherwise, there will be delusively fixated to checking. That is not unwinding. The brightness, whoever that has it, they realize it by itself automatically, naturally. There is no pitfall in such a way. Unlike those who try to check, that's the habit of delusive attachments within knowing, the desire and delusive attachment that dominated and overlaying the knowing. That is derived from practicing for attainment. Natural knowing, it doesn't matter because there is no grasping. Knowing that doesn't grasp for knowing. That is natural knowing, automatic knowing. For knowing that grasping for knowing, that is fixated to grasp for knowing. Initiating knowing all by oneself. That is practicing knowing. This is not natural knowing. There will be a lot of pitfall like that. There is fixated to knowing, the consciousness and insight fixated to itself. When there is unwinding from the states itself, there is no desire. That is grasping for the knowing. Delusive attachment and desire will not dominate the knower. Therefore, the insight is natural. It's automatic. Knowing anything will not create pitfall because there is no fixation to knowing. That's why knowing is there naturally. It's derived from not grasping for knowing. That's why it's naturally. That is the clear yarn, the clear insight, which is natural. It is not in the way of the worldly people because that is grasping. Practicing to know, that is going to be suffering with the knowing because unable to discard knowing. Just go ahead with knowing. There's always memorizing, always holding on to knowing. Impossible to come down from that memories. That is a lot of pitfall from practicing. You can get third eyes, third ears, but you cannot put it down. Always burdening it on and on. Then there's a lot of suffering. Knowing to the gross level, to the subtle level, to the refined level. That is deep-seated impressions in the memories. Cannot come down from it, cannot purify the knowing, cannot purify the impressions of memories. Unlike the system of the transcendence, which is derived from discarding the discarding itself, let go of the letting go itself, unwinding from the unwinding itself, not attached to the non-attachment itself. That is not practicing for attainment. The system of desire, delusion, and delusive attachments doesn't dominate the body, mind, and five aggregates or knowing. The knowing or the insights happen accordingly, naturally. It's happened naturally. Knowing happens naturally by itself. When initiating knowing, it will happen. There is no need to focus on the insight until the eyes almost coming out of the socket. Those from the transcendence, they don't grasp for the insights. It's from let go of the letting go itself. They don't take body, mind, and five aggregates into account. Even mindfulness, they don't take it into account because the essence is cutting, natural cutting, which is beyond mindfulness. They can use mindfulness at any time. Whenever they use, it's there. When don't, then it's not there. They can use it. When not using it, it's like it's not there. Mindfulness, concentration is similar. Whenever they use it or when they don't use it. When they don't use it, it's like it's not there. They are not just sitting there and holding on to it. Unlike those who practice for attainment, this kind is like they have to have it because they never haven't had it. They don't truly have experience not having it. They always having it. Therefore, these kinds, they cannot do it. Having to have it, it's impossible to not having it because they never have experienced such a thing as not having it. They never be enlightened to the truth that not having it how it is. Have to have it only. The whole life is always fixated to every matter. Impossible to hold on. Having to hold on. Because they never had experienced liberation. They have been used to being sunken in knowing, seeing, mindfulness, wisdom, only maintaining. Never experienced liberation from this. And not having, even not having itself, they don't know what it is, how it is. They are not enlightened to it at all. They are just circling with having or not having in the way of samsara. For the transcendence, not having, even the not having itself. Therefore, it's neither about worldly or transcendence, because not having, even the not having itself. Therefore, it's not classified as worldly or transcendence. During the time of having or not having is classified as worldly or transcendence, attachment, not attachment. But for those who have a true conclusion, not having, even not having itself, is beyond worldly or transcendence already. It's not classified as any status at all. Nibbāna has no status as worldly or transcendence. Nibbāna is not classified as any conditions. Nibbāna is not classified as emptiness either. It is not classified as anything at all. Whenever it is classified as anything, it will become various types of Nibbāna. That's why we have to purify this. Whenever they classify Nibbāna as emptiness, they will try to be empty on and on, initiating and fixing to be empty. That's not the way. True emptiness doesn't exist. Not having, even not having itself. True emptiness doesn't exist. Not having, even not having itself. That's why in the past it's called Nibbāna. But at this time, it becomes Nibbāna in the way with opinions and meanings. Therefore, there are variations of Nibbāna. Nibbāna like this, Nibbāna like that. Having fun to talk about. Having fun with emptiness, only with opinions. Nibbāna with opinions. Nibbāna in a way that is fake. True Nibbāna doesn't exist. Nothing is even not nothing itself. Not having, even not having itself. It doesn't mean that Nibbāna doesn't have. Because there are so many who try to grasp it by the opinions. Listen well. True Nibbāna doesn't exist. Not having what? Not having, even not having itself. Therefore, there is no need to search for it, because there will be just the desire to search for it. And when the desire dominating to search to reach there, you will never find the true Nibbāna. You will just bully, always bully. True Nibbāna doesn't have personhood who discover it. No one that is reaching it. No personhood who is reaching it, who discovering it. Because it is dissolving the personhood who found it, who discovers it. For those people who say that Nibbāna exists because there is a delusion, without delusion there will not be Nibbāna. Nibbāna is there because there is a delusion. Nibbāna in the kind of existing, in the kind of becoming. Without delusion, Nibbāna doesn't exist. Without delusion, Nibbāna is not there. Nibbāna is there because of the delusion. Nibbāna like this, like that. Nibbāna as a kind of having is the delusion. The true essence is not having, even not having itself. This is not to use not having to not having further. Not having even the not having itself, not just not having. So say something that unwind from the unwinding itself, unwinding, discarding the unwinding itself. Listen to that is not grasping for the non-grasping itself, not grasping, not attaching even to the non-attachment itself. Listen to that which is not grasping even for the non-grasping itself, because when you listen to it, there is ending. It's giving ending. The desire cannot go further. That's because there is no desire. Listen, when there is ending, desire cannot move on. There is only the great compassion formed up to help end for samsara at all times and forever. That's all. There is not much. When you have that cough, that means don't eat it. There is pesticides. Be careful with fruit as well. They might have pesticides. But if you have karmic difficulties to pay back, it's impossible to stop it because it's gonna flow in it. No matter how many karmic difficulties there are, how you're gonna pay, you're gonna have to pay. This town is the coal mine town. Therefore, use mask. Anyhow, if anyone has to pay back the karma, it's impossible to stop because the dust from the mine, the coal mine, gonna flow into the system by itself. Also, in the same way, for those who practice mindfulness, concentration, contemplations, if they have to continue in its way, it cannot be stopped because they have to practice the suffering. Whatever they practice, they practicing the suffering. But the great compassion is not to grasp. There is suffering within the great compassion, but it is bygone by itself. Whenever you practice, you're gonna embrace suffering, embracing all the time for attainment of mindfulness, concentration, contemplations. That is suffering, practicing the suffering.